G'day YouTube, my name's Lance, welcome to Bundy Bear's Shed. Well, the weather report, look, it's been a little bit better, a little bit more comfortable, 22 to 33. We have blue skies, look, with a few clouds come through, but mostly blue skies. At 6 o'clock this morning, the humidity is down to 97 from 100. I always thought 100 would be raining, but anyway, it's not. Yeah, so this last few days, last week, early in the week, we had a little bit of rain, very little, and we've had a nice breeze come through, where the week before, probably a fortnight, 2 or 3 weeks before, we've had the high heat, the humidity. Well, the heat's not so much at 35, 33, 35, like that's fine, that's no worries. And it's just the humidity, the humidity really zaps it out of you. This last week we've had a lovely breeze coming in the door, so I've spent a bit of time sitting in that doorway cooling down. I have the fan over here again, and I have another fan up in the doorway for early in the morning when the breeze hadn't cranked up yet. And yeah, it's not too bad. The doorway's a nice place to work, but of course everything ends up in the bloody doorway, and you sort of snooky yourself for other things. The Massey Ferguson 20, I've actually got that kingpin fitted, and the kingpin housing fitted, the ram fitted, the drag link, and all that's done. Little problem, I believe, and I haven't checked this out yet, but where the grease nipple goes in, I've got a box of grease nipples here, mostly Imperial, because you know the stuff I work on is mostly Imperial. And yeah, 8th gas won't, 8th BSPT won't go in. I've got to check it out. I suspect it's a metric thread. I imagine the kingpin housing's made in, look, I would say India or maybe Turkey. I've got those same axles fitted on the 135 multi-power here, and they seem okay. But anyway, the grease nipple, I nearly whacked the bloody an 8th BSPT tap into the hole, just to open him up to do it. But I thought, no, I'll just check it out first. Something I want to know. So if we list those on our website for sale, I want to be able to tell people that yeah, you may have to get or we could supply a metric grease nipple if it needed one. But anyway, it's not a thing. It would not be a big seller, that straight axle kingpin housing. Another thing I've been meaning to look up through the week is my 135. It's serial number. Look, it might be 140,000 something or other. Look, I'm just guessing that. But it's got a 14-inch grill on it, and I haven't had a chance to look at AGCO yet and go through the parts book, and I'm thinking about getting it out and actually doing it, and pardon me, because we're going away in a few weeks, and when we come back, there's a little run of tractor shows and shows, and you know, we might have a tractor trek up to Monto for the show and things like that. So I'd like to make sure that's in top nick to go, and I've got all the little knick-knacks done, and there's nothing to do, you know, you just hop in and go. But it got me thinking that I just copied what was on there, but when I bought that tractor, man, it was a mess. I've still got the bits and pieces out the side there, and the bonnet and all the panels were rubbish, and that was the bonnet that I bought in from Quality Tractor Parts, and I did a video on how shit it was, and I eventually got around and I tidied and I hammered and I ginned around to get the lines straight and all that. It was a bit of a shit fight at the time, and I left the tractor painted, and I didn't do the bonnet for ages because it was bloody annoying me. And I do have another bonnet ready for the multi-power one sticking up the top there, but yeah, we've got a 14-inch grill on a bent axle tractor, and I'm going to have to look the serial number up and see, because with the 14924s on the back, the tractor looks like it's going uphill just a little bit with 616s on the front. And I was wondering, you know, I've got to check clearances and all that. It's just me thinking out loud at the moment. Check clearances and that, and if a 13-inch grill would come down and just level that out a bit, I don't know. it's the same bonnet, it would just be the grille that would change, but we've copied what was there. So anyway, we'll just see with that. That's just a thought. I haven't pulled out of the knob, I haven't done any measuring. I was just wondering, there has to be a serial number break in there somewhere, and I thought it was in the later tractors, like perhaps with the solid axle with the bigger fuel tank, that they went to the 14-inch grille, but I don't know. I might ask on Massey Worldwide or Friends of Ferguson Heritage or something like that. Some of those blokes that have worked with Massey's for years, they're knowledgeable old fellas. And so yeah, we might ask about that. I'll take you for a little walk to the Massey 20 shortly, and I can show you the kingpin I've assembled. I've left it black. I thought about buying a bit of yellow paint, and I thought, oh no, look, it's part of its history, let's just leave it as it is. The right-hand kingpin that was seized, I've got the wheel off that now. The wheel on this side had water in it, and the wheel on the other side looked like a Bearco replacement tyre, and it was no water, but it was on back to front, so I've taken the wheel off the right, put it on the left so the tread faces the right way. This week I might buy a Bearco 616 rim and tyre. I can't buy rims, tyres and tubes anywhere cheaper than I can buy a Bearco one. As a Bearco dealer, I get cut a bit of slack there, of course, but what I often do is I'll put a brand new Bearco, I'll get a brand new Bearco 616 rim, tyre and tube in. I'll nick the tyre and tube, and then I'll send the wheel back into Queensland Tractor Spares to sell just as a basic rim. And by doing that, not even counting selling the rim, that is my cheapest option to buy a 616 tyre in town here. So and if you look around, if you look around all my tractors, they've all got the same front tyres on them. Bloody funny that. And but yeah, because it's got a Bearco one on, I'll probably match that up with another one, and I may even just put the whole bloody rim on silver for the moment, and we'll just use that as part of the history of the tractor as well. But I'm not thinking of painting the yellow one, not in the immediate future. I've got enough going on. So we'll see how we go there. I spent a lot of time this week working on that famous engine, and mainly on the engine cart. Now, I got the big belt sander. I showed you last week, I got the big belt sander and I got all that epoxy off out of the way, and I sanded it all back down and I let it rest for a week. So any epoxy in that, in the wood and that, had a chance to go off, you know, whatever it's soaked in. And so I sanded it down. I sprayed it on this time. I put it through the spray gun, and I got a nice glossy finish on it. And then I come back and all the grain had stood up. Yeah, the moisture had stood the grain up, and I thought, you bloody thing, give me steel to work with any day. And so then after the epoxy went on, I had to get my random orbital sander with a bit of 220 in, and I had to run across the top of all that again, and take the feathered tops off. And so on, I think Saturday morning I painted it, and then Sunday morning I had to do the process again, just sand the top off it and go again. But I still got a couple little runs at the back that I didn't know I had until I went to assemble the cart, but that's fine. And I've got the sides mixed up. Well, I've got a couple of marks, but I'll just brush a little bit over that when we come to finishing the engine off and tidying it up. But I spent a lot of time this weekend on doing all the bolts and nuts and washers and all that for the cart. So just to hold the little stub axles that the old fella had built. And another thing is, where we might get a plate, and we'll put the plate in the drill press and we'll mark our holes and get them all at say 3 inches by 2 inches or something like that. These old fellas, they drilled through the timber, clamped the thing up and then popped it, then went and drilled it, because if you don't get that stub axle in the right place, it doesn't bloody fit. So I had a bit of fiddling there, but yeah, I'd cleaned all the stub axles, are done, all the collars for the stub axles. I pressure cleaned and tidied up the wheels. every nut and bolt, like just to hold the stubs on the 16 bolts. Yeah, the front pivot, the turntable, all that sort of stuff's done. And it's all painted in this CRC black zinc. And I know it's a rattle can, but it leaves a nice finish. Like it's not a gloss and it's not a dull matte blackboard paint. It's a sort of an in-between. I don't know, semi-gloss. Oh, it's not even that really. And it's not, because of the zinc content, it's not a deep black like the flywheels are. It's just a shade lighter. And we'll go for a walk with the camera in a minute. But look, I think it looks nice. And it's a zinc paint. It's got a rust protection, a corrosion factor of 36 protection. I don't really understand what that says. I've never looked it up. But I've had good run with this. So each nut and bolt got buffed on the wire brush. The threads checked because I had to knock some out with a punch, so I had to tidy up the threads on some of them. The bloody old blokes and nuts and bolts. The one thing that pisses me off no end is when you go into the bolt place and you buy a bolt, and say you buy a 3/8 UNC 4 inches long. Well, a 3/8 UNC 4 inches long, if you buy a nut and a washer with it, it should have a 9/16 head on it and a 9/16 nut on it. Well, nowadays they've got these bloody 9/16 UNCs and they've got a UNC thread on them, but they have a 15mm head, and it pisses me off. So anyway, these old blokes, the old fella that did this engine up many years ago passed away, and I don't know how long since it's been done up, but I'm just, that's why you'll notice some things aren't getting changed. We're just leaving his fingerprint on it, sort of thing, his mark. And one of them would be the wheels. Like the back's got lovely straight spoke rims on it, and the front has got curved spoke rims. And you know, they found these somewhere. I believe they might have been old pulleys, the spoke ones, because I can see where they've had a lathe around the side and they've brought them in narrower and they've chamfered them inside to take the sharp edge off and all that. So that may be the case. So I've left that there, but yeah, all these bolts, the nuts were a bit dicky, so I got 16 new 3/8 UNC nuts. I keep the proper ones here with spring washers and things like that. But yeah, so you've got to have a 9/16 spanner underneath and a 15mm on the top. Things like that. There should be a law against it. It's a wonder nowadays, you know, with all these manufacturers cutting corners in one way or another, they don't have a 9/16 head or a 14mm head, because, you know, the extra steeling going 15mm for 5 million bolts. Yeah, you'd think it'd matter, but it just obviously can't. I don't know why they do it. If you know, put it in the comments. Yeah, but yeah, it's not a metric thread. Like, you can understand a 10mm by 1.5 metric bolt having a metric head on it, 15-16mm head on it, but yeah, the 3/8 UNC with a 15mm head on it. And the idea was, when the metric system came in from the imperial system, that everything became standardised. Well, that hasn't quite happened, has it? And then, you know, you get to the metric threads, and to standardise it worldwide, you get to a metric thread and there's metric coarse and metric fine and metric special fine, and so, you know, we had UNC, UNF, UNEF and things like that anyway. So, and now they have a 20mm, a 25mm and a 20mm thread to take place of the BSP, you know, your old 3/4, 1/2 inch, 3/4 BSP tapers. And of course in America we have the NPT, National Pipe Thread, which is 1 thread per inch different to the BSP. And yeah, that's the hold up with the engine at the moment, or part of the hold up, apart from me, is the pipe work coming up to the carby. I haven't done the carby yet. I've got to replace pipes and things, and I have the pipe here, but I'm still waiting on the National Pipe Thread taps and dies to come. So, so yeah, all the flanges and all that, you know, your unions and all that on the pipes from the carb down to the fuel pump are NPT, National Pipe Thread. Now the water tank that sits on it it would have been galvanised originally, but I've only just started working on it now, and it appears to be stainless. So I've got to get something to give the stainless. I'm not going to polish it, just clean it up and that, but being made in Australia, it looks like the threads in that are all national pipe, BSP, British Standard Pipe. So I've made all the pump adapter and all that sort of thing, and the pipe going in. I made an adapter to MPT to go into the head of into the block of the engine, but all the pipe works for the water, the cooling system. Apart from the top one is BSP taper, which is a common thing in Australia. But the fuel pipe, it's all going to stay NPT because we have, it's got a screw into a carburetor, fuel pumps and tank fittings and all that are already NPT. So, I mean, the tanks I'm getting made by John the Tank Man Gilbert, down Mildura way. He rang me up the other day for a yarn, and he asked about NPT or BSP, and I told him, well, those ones I'll be happy to go BSP, which is easier for him. And to come out to the fuel pump, I can make a little pipe with an NPT one end and a BSP the other, and it just makes it cheaper for the fittings and all that, and it's in the tank, so it'll look okay. Pardon me. But yeah, as far as week went, we had a practice Zoom meeting. I'm vice president of ACRA, the Australian Collectors and Restorers Association. We're the insurance side of it for the Queensland clubs that are in ACRA, and we had a practice Zoom meeting. This Tuesday night we have a proper Zoom meeting. We have quarterly meetings where we all get together on Zoom, and then later in the year we'll have one. I think it might be North Queensland's turn, so that'll give us a weekend up in North Queensland. That'll be nice. We'll go up there and go to the meetings and things like that. We went to the club meeting yesterday, the Rum City Vintage Machinery Club. We've just got a new venue. We had a halls and that in the past, but they sort of all fell through over time with changes around town, and we were having meetings at people's places, which isn't ideal. And the reason it's not ideal is that if you get a new member coming, oh, when's the meeting? And they email the secretary and say, where's the meeting? And they say, oh, it's at Harry's place at 2 o'clock. People feel a little bit iffy going to someone's house they don't know and introducing themselves and things like that. And this time it might be at Harry's, next time it's at Bob's and Bill's, and that's what was going on. So now we've got an agreement with the Pensioners League in Bundaberg. It's sort of behind the big post office. The Pensioners League Hall, it's a lovely little hall. And the ladies at the Pensioners League yesterday, you go to a meeting and they don't charge for use of the hall, but they told us that if they won't charge, they don't like to hire the hall out, but they like to do the fundraising there. So yesterday, I don't know how many members we had, must have been 30 if there was one, and probably 34, 35, I wouldn't mind betting. But yeah, the Pensioners League ladies, there was a couple of ladies there, and at the end of the meeting, once the meeting's over, for $5 per person, they supply you with a cup of tea or a coffee and a scone with strawberry jam and cream and all that, so you could have a pumpkin scone or a date scone. And look, it was good, it was well accepted. I think 27 members took them up on it, and that was how they that's how they fund the hall and how we get to use it. So that's good. There's amenities outside, there's a little park outside and things like that. So that worked out well. Yeah, the meeting went well. It was a bloody long meeting. It started at 1 and didn't end up till, it was after 3, I think. But we had a bit to do. We didn't have a meeting in January because of everyone being away. So it's been a couple of months, so there was quite a bit to cover. The Massey 65 here. Oh, me dicky knee. Me dicky knee. I've got the fan blowing here and I'm a bit worried about it getting on the mic, so I'm just turning so the wind's going to hit my arm maybe. The Massey 65 here, I'm going to put a little bit into that today. I'm not going to film the little nitty gritty bits, but we'll have a tying up loose ends video on the 65, and the reason is I've got that nice battery box now from Gordon. I've just got it sitting up on there at the moment, but I want to put that on, make sure everything's right with it, and I'm glad I did because I can actually see a little dint there. But yeah, when it's on and the tank's on, you won't see the dint, but I'll know it's there, so it's got to come out. And I've got the tank sitting up in place, but today I'm hoping to get the radiator shroud on and in, and the radiator support, I suppose, and the breather tube on a 65 with a 212 engine coming out of the tappet cover. It's a funny little hose that comes down, and I've tried to buy them genuine in Australia and I can't. And I've got a couple of hoses there to make a piece of hydraulic tube that I can make a bit of a joined up looking thing, but it's sort of hidden away okay. But so I just want to do a quick test fit with some of that stuff, make sure we're okay, and then I can pop it out and work with it. So sometimes, like if I just sandblasted that battery box before I put it on, well, you'd get it sandblasted and a bit of primer and that, and you wouldn't really know you had a dint to fix until later. So, but yeah, I'm just going to sit that on, just with the bolts loosely. Everything's just going to be loose. Make sure the tank sits up because it's a new part there, and the new thermostat housing mount sort of thing, and we're going to make sure that sits in. So I'm going to put the fan on today and have a bit of a fiddle with that before I start sanding the tank down. My dicky knee, my left-hand dicky knee that I tore the meniscus in, it's a touchy bloody thing. And I went home Saturday evening, I said, my knee's feeling really bloody good, you know. It's, I said, I can't recall any pain through the day. My right-hand one that's got the arthritis now, well, it's always a bit dicky, but that's, you learn to live with that. But this other one that I've been trying to favour and rest, I said, not a sausage of pain, and it was really good. I could, to lay down in bed without it aching and things like that. So I nearly got a sore back from patting myself on for looking after it. But then yesterday, bloody niggly again. I thought, you bloody thing. So so I'm trying to back off. Well, I've backed right off on the heavy lifting and all that because of it, and it's certainly coming good. But it doesn't take much to twig it off again. So it's not right yet. So I'll probably leave the heavy stuff till after we come back from down south. But these fiddly jobs there, like I can sit on my stool there next to that, and you'll see little stools and chairs all around all my projects in the shed. And at the moment I'm just trying to sit down, look after myself, and not walk around too much. I try and have a think ahead if I can, and have things organised a little bit. So, but anyway, this morning, I've got the engine on the cart. I've got the cart assembled and the engine on it, and I'll take you for a walk up and show you that. There's still a lot of work to do there. Pardon me. You'll see the Magneto magnetizer here. I've brought that back out. Now I've got the proper trip lever for the Webster Magneto, and I was tripping it the other night having a bit of a fiddle, and I reckon the spark's a little bit weaker than it could be, and just adjusting that little cam on the back, it's got a coarse thread, and just by adjusting that you can get a stronger spark, so the points are opening just when the maximum voltage is. But I was watching Shop Dog Sam and a couple of other blokes on Magnetos, and instead of having the magnet off like I did, and I've watched others and they say take it off and put it straight back on and all that, they took the strap off and they sat the whole Magneto on the Magneto charger and give it a boot all together, and I thought I'd try that. I've never done it. I'm learning a bit with this. I've got a well charged up battery. I've got it on the charger as we speak, and tapping it around with a bit of brass as you go and all that. But I just wanted to get the best spark I can now, and then I wanted to remagnetise it on here and just see what the difference is, to see if it's better to pull the magnets off. And I had to pull the magnets off and clean them and all that sort of thing. But I'd like to know in my own mind whether pulling them off is better than doing it as an assembly, or how it goes. And I can find little videos on either, So it can go either way. But anyway, we'll see. I might let you know about that next week once I've had a fiddle. But look, that's it for today. I better shut up and do some work around here. I've got that many projects on the go, as you know, and I might take the famous engine and with the forklift and put it out in the sun and let all the timber work harden and all that. It's been a couple of days now, in 48 hours since the paint. So yeah, it's time it could go out there. And sometimes with paint I find you get it hot, then you just hose it over gently, and you know, it seasons it, it cycles the paint sort of thing. I often do that on tractors. But I may do that, we'll just see. But yeah, and I think I'm going to try and film today getting the kingpin out of the other side of that. With this side done now, well, there's not much holding me back. If I can get that kingpin free, all serviced up, wheel bearings done, back on, get a wheel out of Bearco, put the old wheel on for the moment, but get a wheel out of Bearco, put the steering all back on, get the rubbers on the drag links and all that. Well, then I can drive that tractor, even though I've got no hydraulics, I can still drive that tractor, which is something I want to do. I wouldn't mind driving it, putting the covers on the side and pressure cleaning all the tank and that, but talking to Russell that bought some tractors from the same place, he bought a couple of 3-cylinder 35s and one of them was missing badly, and he's telling me at the meeting yesterday that 6mm in all the tappets, so that was how long since I've been checked. So yeah, I don't know. So I think I'm going to pop the tank off and check this as part of the service on that tractor. So, but I'll get to that axle first. Once I've got that steering finished, I'm happy to hop into the service, and I would like to actually turn it around then, and we have to diagnose the hydraulics. We haven't got any rear linkage, and where it is there now, it doesn't lend itself to getting the lift cover off and things like that. So anyway, I'll shut up. Thanks for dropping by. We'll go for a bit of a walk with the camera and give you a quick look at what we're doing. And yeah, we'll catch you all next week, eh? Okay, this is the old 65. I've got the tank just sitting up. The bolts aren't done up yet, but I've got the new battery box sitting there ready to do some bolts and sit in. The tank needs a good sand down and a tidy up, but look, that's no worry, that's just part of the job. And sandblast the battery tray. So we're going to sit that in place there, and I've got to pull this bottom bolt out here to get it down low enough so I can sit that in place. So yeah, that's going to be all right. Oh yeah, I might be able to fit the dash, just for a quick dash fit as well while I'm there. The Fran shroud has to go on now. This is the piece of tube, bit of hydraulic tube I'm going to use to join up this pipe here with that one up in there, to do get the breathers worked out. So yeah, I'm a bit keen to do that, and then I can I can sit in sand tanks and all that without walking around too much. So that's on the go for this morning. That's probably going to happen fairly soon. Yeah, I'm hoping to do that today, and I'm hoping to get the Massey 20 kingpin done today. We'll just see how we go. Then if we swing around past the mess, and we come up here, there's my trusty stool. The bloody wheel broke on my stool. You can see a little wheel down there near the dog's arse. Hey, look out. Hey. But yeah, the front kingpin is on there. That's all okay. I've got the drag link on with new rubbers on the drag link. Those hoses, I'm not 100% sure I've got them right yet. I swapped and changed and mucked around, but whoever made them up over time has got a lot. They've made them both the same length. So I do have some 1/4 inch hose, and you can see that they're reusable ends. So I may, you can have a look in there. We may get onto that. Also, Santa, hey, that's no good, eh? The muffler sitting here I'm thinking of making a little bracket to hold that in out of the way a little bit. See how we go. Poor old Sansa, she got a habit of wherever I'm working sitting behind me, so now and then she gets stood on. So yeah, that's okay there. That's that side finished. That's the Bearco rubber. And they seem okay. I've got them on a lot of tractors now. And this kingpin, I can, oh, there we go. I can get a bit of movement out of that now, just by pushing the top. So I got a fair chance of freeing that up, I believe. What we'll do, we'll just slide the kingpin out. We'll put it on the bench. We'll do the wheel bearings. We'll probably put a new thrust in here. There appears to be no wear in the bushes, but it's that tight it'd be hard to say. Oh, we'll come around and yeah, there's those other Bearco tyres, and look, they go alright. They're not the broken tri-rib like original, but they certainly do the job okay. And I had them on Goldie as well. Those fellas there, I think they were the ones. I think they were the Bearco on the 716s at the time. I don't know if that's still the case, but looks like I need to do a bit of work on the rubbers here. And it still runs okay, the little Johnny. Like it doesn't do any work. It just sits there buggering around. I take it for a lap every so often. I need to fix up the bonnet one day, but still runs okay. But yeah, when you've got tractors sitting around, you've got all these little jobs all the time. So that's just how it is. And then when we come out to the doorway here, we'll come around. I have to have it jammed in the doorway to get the door shut. So that's the famous engine as it sits now, the 3-horse famous, 1914. So it's all sitting up there looking okay. The cart came up pretty well. That's that zinc paint on the rims, and like it's a nice definition of where you can see those. That's not square that way, like this bolt's further that way than the others, so they must have just banged them through on the day. But I've got to touch up that centre pivot bolt. But yeah, look, it's okay. I'm happy with it. Yeah, so you got spokes on the back and straight spokes versus curved spokes, but that's how we had it, so it's staying like that. The pipe work here for the carby, that's what we're waiting on at the moment. Waiting to get that sorted, waiting on the taps and dies and things like that to do that. But all in all, the engine's coming up nicely. Yeah, have to be happy with that. But like I say, we'll get it out of the way there today. I usually just slide the forks under it and away we go. But yeah, we'll sit him out in the sun and we'll let everything work hard and for the day, and we'll go from there, and that'll give me a bit of space to hop into that front kingpin housing. That might be not a bad job for the Savo when the breeze is blowing. There's not much breeze at the moment. But when you have a look around, it's lovely and green, and the sun's about to come up properly. But yeah, the paddock's looking good. It nearly needs another slash, but I got all the mowing done last week. The mower's been mowing crooked, and I've been blaming the tyres and things like that. And the other day it annoyed me that much that I actually, you might be able to see a few peaks and just little lines going through it. And what had happened right up under the deck, when you just checked it without the deck engaged, everything looked level and it looked good. So I was blaming the tyres, and I couldn't work it out. But then I hopped on and had a fiddle with it, and one of the levers underneath had come off, and when you engage the blades, yeah, the deck come forward, and that's what kicked it on an angle. So job done. So I'll probably have to mow midweek by the look of this. That was, I think this mowing was Wednesday, I think it was, yeah. So yeah, probably come Wednesday I'll be on the mower again.
Okay, I've just finished the front axle. I've assembled it all. I've bled the steering. I'll just go and start it for you and show it going left to right. So there you go, that's nice and easy. I'll take a picture of the gauge. And we'll start him up again. So there you go, that's the steering finished. I had to tighten this gland up. There was a slight little leak under there, and there may still be one yet, I'm not sure, but I've got to wash it all off yet. The other side's nice and dry, but it was tighter from the start. So there you go, that's the steering done. We can actually drive the little tractor now and maybe turn it around so we can have a look at the linkage, see why it's got no hydraulics.